Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Robert, and this is another solo review. Today, I'm going to talk about Hoplomachus Remastered. In the interest of disclosure, this is a copy that I bought with my own funds, and I did not back the crowdfunding campaign. This is a retail copy. And everybody in the past couple months have been getting their pledges delivered, and I hadn't really heard much of this in the past, but everybody's been sharing their pictures and sharing their play sessions, and this seemed really cool, so I went ahead and got it. And this is my second chip theory game, the first one being Too Many Bones, which I'm a huge fan of. Top 10 solo board game material for me. So I've never played the Hoplomachus system before, and so this is my introduction to it. And also, I made a couple playthroughs of this. If you're interested in watching them after my review, I made a playthrough of the Onslaught and the Ascension mode if you want to see how the game plays. And without further ado, let's get started with a component overview. Okay, so we begin with the rulebook, which is the material is very nice. It's legible, well made, and beautifully illustrated as well. All right, let's move this here. Okay, so we got the rulebook. This is the unit reference. Sorry, not unit reference. Keyword reference sheet made of plastic. Couple bags. For chips, for randomly drawing chips. Okay, then we have, I'm gonna put this here. All right, so those are turn reference sheets that I printed myself. They're not included, but these are the Titan and Immortal reference sheets, also made of plastic. Then we have the dice that are included with the game and the beads. Let's check that out. I love the marble dice. Look that the dice have, by the way. And then you got your couple beads here. And if you want to know what this is about, I made a video about it. A short video about it. This basically adds some friction so that the tray doesn't slide around on the table. So if you want to learn how to do that, I'll share a short with you. Okay, then we have let's move on next to the gorgeous mat. Okay, when I show you the setup, what the setup is like, and later when I talk about the game, I'll have this in a better frame so that you see what it looks like in all its glory. But this is the beautiful double-sided mat. Okay, and then we have the chips. So we have included are these light chips for health. There's equal amount red and blue. There's a couple that don't fit in that box, so they have to be put in another box like this one. So then we have the Titan chips, which are thicker, and also the Immortal chips. Mixed in here probably. Let's see. There, Immortal. So one of the Immortals. You have our the arena units, the shards, the neutral heroes, and then gray. These are the other health chips that don't fit there. Okay. Okay, then you have gray, and all of these colors are the factions that players can use. All right. So playing multiplayer, each of you can pick a faction, or if you're just playing solo, you're gonna pick a faction against the enemy system, all right? So there's 7 factions included. But that pretty much is it. Those are the included components. Now, I wanna talk about the setup of this game. So one really big thing with this game is how quick it sets up, all right? And I've made a video showing you how quick, once you know what you're doing, how quick you can set up the Onslaught mode, okay? And then the Ascension mode, sets up in about the same amount of time. Just add a couple extra minutes if you need to read the instructions of the Titan, but it's gonna be in that same ballpark if you wanna set up for the Ascension mode. But go check out this setup video so that you get an idea of how quick this sets up, which is a huge positive for me. Check it out. All right, so now let's talk about what actually happens in this game, okay? Because I haven't really explained what type of game this is. So let's talk about that. Let me make a little arrangement here, and we'll talk about that. All right, so what happens in this game? So in Hoplomachus Remastered, this is a skirmish game where you're gonna deploy units against enemy units and try to, attain victory. Typically, in the onslaught mode, which uses this side of the map, you're gonna go up against immortals, and you have to defeat all 6 waves to reach the maximum achievement, which is extremely difficult. It's basically almost like an endless wave mode, but there's 6 immortals for you to go up against, and it's very, very tough to beat all 6. But yeah, so and the way you do that, so you're gonna have an immortal that you're gonna go up against, and each immortal is gonna have a reference sheet that explains their behavior. Okay, so the game, you're gonna control it, but also they're gonna have their own behavior that you have to follow. And you're gonna pick a faction, so there's 7 included factions. There's some examples here. Each faction has a hero and units, and also tactic chips. So each unit is gonna have a certain amount of health, movement, and range for attack. And you have your hero. If you lose your hero, that's how you lose the game. Okay, if your hero is defeated. And then you have tactics chips, which you can attach to units and sometimes enemies to either enhance or cripple them. Okay. Now, as you do combat, you're gonna gain the crowd's favor, which when you reach certain thresholds, you get awards. Like, for example, you can return units that were defeated back to your camp for you to deploy on the battlefield. Okay, so this side of the map is what the onslaught mode uses for when you fight against the immortals. Oh, and by the way, you're gonna roll dice to resolve combat. Each die, based on color, has more or less chances of landing a hit. Okay, so there are some dice that are worse than others. So this is the side that you use for onslaught. Now let's move on to this side. So in this side, for the 2 solo modes that are included, I talked about onslaught, and then this is the Ascension mode, where you're gonna face one of the 6 titans that are included in the game. So each titan is gonna have its own sheet that that dictates their behavior, and each of them have their own rules. And just like in Onslaught, you're gonna have to pick one of the 7 factions, but in Ascension, you don't have all of your units available to you. You have to pick a certain amount of units and tactics. So it's like you're doing a pre-game of picking a loadout for you to go up against a Titan. So you might have to change your loadout based on, to cater towards a specific boss that will have different challenges, okay? Now also, this side of the Colosseum, this side of the map has there's different tactical considerations because of the layout and the rules of how you gain crowd favor. So each side of the map, it's its own puzzle in its own right. You get 2 very different modes with how you have to think of deploying units and everything. So yeah, that's the gist of, as far from the solo perspective, what you get to play here. The Ascension mode and the Onslaught mode, okay, which uses different sides of the map. And like I said, I made a couple playthroughs of that if you want to see how they play. Now, let's go ahead and move on to my thoughts. What do I think about this as a solo game? So I think the first thing I want to get out of the way, which is my only negative, so I'll just get that out of the way now. Oh, more of a nitpick, honestly, are these things right here. These health chips are the only things stopping this from being like a just perfect. Like, and sometimes, you know, when I hand out like a perfect score to like something on Board Game Geek, maybe I'm like a bit exaggerated or whatever, but this is the only thing stopping it from being a perfect package for me. Because you know, for too many bones, I did buy the Wade health chips, and a lot of people say that, you know, you can live without the Wade premium chips. It's fine. And I kind of had that mentality with this. Like, okay, I mean, this is supposed to, from what I heard, this is supposed to be a complete package. You don't need expansions, which I love. So I opted not to buy the Wade chips. But these things, like, they just slide around too much, and they, yeah, see, like it's almost like they've created a necessity of, you have to buy the premium chips, which you have to, but you don't have to at the same time. I don't know. I wish that they had just included the premium chips. You just charge more and include them, because with that out of the way, I think this is one of the best board game packages that I've ever bought. Because here's the thing with Too Many Bones, right? You need expansions for that. The base game is gonna keep you busy only for so long, and a lot of the replayability. And I'm gonna make a comparison to Too Many Bones because it's another big game of theirs, right? And it's you know, I think I have to make that comparison. So Too Many Bones, you need more expansions for that. It's a premium game, and on top of that, you are gonna be motivated to buy more because you really, it's just such a good product, and you're gonna want to buy more expansions. Now for this, other than with the health chips, this is a complete package, and it's cheaper than a lot of their other some of their other base games. So for 100, like for Victorum, it's 150, right? This is 129, and I think Too Many Bones is 150 if I remember correctly. So for 129, you get a complete package, and this is the only thing that's a bit questionable about that. I'll shut up about it now, but just heads up. These are gonna get annoying after a bit because they're gonna slide everywhere. All right, with that, you get a ton of replayability with this package, with the different factions that are included, the 2 modes that are included, how quick it sets up. You saw the video I put there, right, of how quick this sets up. It's insane for the experience that this offers, how quick this sets up, and how one big thing that is part of the experience for me when I buy a board game is puzzling with figuring out some kind of storage solution, or try to make it less fiddly or more organized, or adding things so that it sets up faster, or sleeving it. That's like a huge part of when I buy a board game. None of that with this. I bought this, and really the only thing I did was just making this for keeping track of the turn sequence. That's it. I haven't had to add anything to this, and eventually I might add this just because I like it a lot. But yeah, so this is a complete package where you're not gonna have to figure out some storage solution. You're not gonna have to figure out like the sleeves, make it fit back. None of that. Everything you need is included, and it's just I think I might have had like one other game in my collection, like Palm Island. Like it's the only game in my collection where I didn't have to like do anything to it. No sleeving, no nothing. A game came like that, and that's it. I didn't have to do anything. So this is amazing in that regard. You don't have to buy expansions. You don't have to figure out some storage solution. The rulebook. Let's talk about the rulebook. So you know that if you've heard my reviews, the few I have, I'm pretty vocal about rulebooks, but I have to give credit where credit is due. This rulebook, this is a masterpiece of a rulebook. I think it's the best, I can say, the best rulebook I have ever read. Brilliant rulebook. At no point I had to go look on Board Game Geek for any answers. Every time that I had a rules question, it was in here. It's beautifully illustrated. It's intuitive. It's well laid out. And there's a very nice note at the beginning about how they said that they hired rulebook experts. yeah, I believe them. This really is, when I read this, this feels like something that was made by an expert. And I'm gonna make a I'm gonna make a bit of a silly comparison here. To me, this rulebook is like what Breaking Bad is to TV shows. This, like, I wish that the people that make Breaking Bad made every show, because it would be like incredible. Like, I think that everything that those people make would be like the most amazing show ever, because they're so talented. I want these guys to make every rule book for every board game. I this is just immaculate rule book. I just want, God, like, this just makes other, it just really puts other rule books into perspective. Just wow. Thank you. What an amazing rule book. So rant about rulebook over. Just incredible rulebook. So I've mentioned the setup aspect. The table space, it really doesn't occupy that much, and it has an amazing table presence. You're gonna be surrounded by your different chips, boxes, and the the dice are gorgeous. The illustrations are incredible. It feels like such a complete package, and I'm not gonna feel like I'm missing out, like, with expansions or things like that. And this will entertain me for years to come. And it offers something unique, because there's not really a lot of solo skirmish games. Writing AI for skirmish solo games, it's not easy. But one thing that is extremely refreshing about this, okay, you're controlling the AI, you're controlling their movement. You decide at the end of the day how the AI moves, but the game explicitly states that when you move the AI, you move it to your advantage. That's extremely refreshing, because I have never to this day, because some games you could just play two-handed against yourself. Like, I don't see what the point of that is. Now, you're not quite doing that here. The AI has behaviors that you don't control in both modes. And there are certain parameters that you have to follow for targeting, but it's all super intuitive, okay? And but the rulebook explicitly states that when you move the AI, instead of just like doing mental gymnastics, just do it to your advantage. And it's so liberating and so refreshing. It's part of the strategy. As the rulebook states, it's part of the strategy to move the AI to your advantage. Just nuts. Like, it's something so simple, but something that I just don't see implemented a lot. When creating AI, when people write rules for AI behaviors for when you're fighting against the game system itself. So one other thing I have to mention too, this game is super accessible. It is a bit at the beginning, a bit of rules to absorb, but once you start playing it, it's just intuitive and it'll just click. The game is very simple in reality. It's just the one time you read the rulebook, it might seem like a lot, especially when you're figuring out the nuances between the two modes. But very intuitive, and once you learn it, you're not gonna have to refer to the rulebook a whole lot later, okay? Maybe every now and then in some edge cases, but the few times that I had some rules questions, it was all in there, which is just wow, just amazing rulebook. Again, I have to repeat that. But yeah, folks, I really can't, to me, if again, I wish I didn't have to come back to this, because this is the only thing holding it from being the most accurate 10 out of 10 game to me that I've ever handed to a game would be this, if it wasn't for this. I wish they had just included the premium tokens. Just include them. Charge a bit more and include it, please, because this really detracts from the experience. And I know I said that I would stop mentioning it, but God, it's such just that, and it would have been like one of the most sublime and perfect board game packages that I've ever bought. This is just incredible, man. But if you can get past that, and if you don't mind paying the extra for the premium tokens, this game is just it's just amazing. And I can also see it being fun and multiplayer. I know this is a solo review, but this game, for how quick it sets up, for how intuitive it is, I could also see it being fun multiplayer. Now, a couple things. Okay, so let's kind of round things out here. let's arrive at a bit of a conclusion here. Okay, so couple negatives. I mentioned this already. I just get the premium chips if you can. Now, other thing I'll mention that you might not like, there's lots of keywords, and it's gonna take a bit of time to learn them and not forget what the keywords do. So keep that in mind too. Onslaught mode could be a bit brutal, and it might, you might not get past the first couple waves the first times when you're playing the game. So onslaught mode can be a bit brutal, but to me that makes it addicting. Like if it was easy to win, like what would be the point, right? Now, if you want something a bit more fair, the Ascension mode is a bit, it's not as brutal as Onslaught. It feels a bit more like you have a chance, and you don't feel like against impossible odds with Ascension mode. So those are about my only negatives. Oh, another thing that I forgot to mention, the shape of the box is a bit weird. It's an oddly shaped box that I don't have any other game in my collection that's shaped like that. So I had to kind of fit it at a weird angle on my shelf that was, it has a weird shape, but that's kind of a nitpick. Okay, but now positives. Amazing skirmish solo game. It's not a category that has a lot of offerings. I know that there's Ascension Tactics out there. I still need to get that on the table. There's a Battle Crest. Haven't tried that yet. I haven't tried it though. So I think I can safely say this is I think this is the first solo skirmish game that I've tried, and it's just a masterpiece of a package. The rulebook, I'm just repeating, if you want an exemplar rulebook of just this game, has it. Okay, intuitive rules. Once you learn it, you're not gonna have to refer to the rules too much. The setup, just amazing positive aspect. Just sets up in minutes. Just nuts how quick this sets up. The table presence. It uses the word widescreen to describe gladiatorial combat to describe itself. Just accurate. It is true. So the widescreen, just amazing how this mat looks. The combat is fun. Now, okay, another thing you might not like, should have listed that under the things that you might not like. Rolling to resolve die might just be against you, and dice might hit you sometimes. Okay, it's gonna happen. So if you don't like dice combat, just stay away from the game, I guess. But not a problem for me, so I like it. Lots of variety too, with the factions, with the different loadouts, the different titans you can go up against. The different the different arena units that might be pulled out against you when playing in Onslaught. So yeah, amazing package, folks. Very complete. One of I know a big complaint with Too Many Bones, like I said, is the necessity for expansions. But this, if you want the chip theory games experience, this is one of the best ways to get into that. And I really cannot recommend this enough. I know that the price, I know that people scoff at the price when $120 for a board game. Like, what are you doing? But once you get it in your hands, you'll understand. Just God, what a experience! So that is it, folks. Hopefully, this will help you be informed on whether this game is for you or not. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you if you like this content that you like and subscribe. If you have any feedback, any comments, anything you want to add to the discussion, please put that in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one.